And we're back.
And the climb continues.
Pump, where are we climbing to?
This is the biggest mountain, the biggest hill. It's an eternal climb right now, apparently. It feels like we're just climbing to climb. I don't know the destination at this point.
You
I
ever
really
hear
don't.
the Mount Everest stories where people are climbing up the mountain and they see dead bodies, but they just keep climbing.
Uh-huh.
And some of them die on their way to the top.
Yes.
Does this journey as a Florida State fan feel like you're just climbing and you're seeing dead bodies everywhere? And is it similar to that the Mount Everest experience?
I'm not gonna let Mike Norvell kill me.
You're coming
I'm
off
gonna
the
get
mountain.
I'm gonna get him before he gets me. I refuse. I refuse to let this man kill me. However, it feels like he's being aided by the administration of Florida State University, which we'll get into.
Yeah.
Bayless, week 13, somebody said Knowles.
Yeah.
I feel like we have a lot to talk about, but not a lot. I feel like it's the same story that keeps getting regurgitated. We keep saying the same thing only because we're in this limbo. We're in this limbo phase. So let's go over our last week. Obviously, we'll talk a little bit of Virginia Tech. You know, that was a good win, solid win, last home game of the season. Move into a little bit of Mike Norvell talk because obviously, big ugly elephant in the room. We have no choice but to talk about Mike week after week. And then we'll wrap it up with a NC State preview. Friday night game. We already know how we play like ass when we go to North Carolina at night. Friday short turnaround, but we'll get there. All right, let's start off with some good stuff. Positivity first, man. Nothing but positive vibes first. Florida State gets its last win. Apparently, if we can play all of our games at home,
I'll take
we
it.
might be a national championship contender if we can play all of our games at home because I mean, we're nice there apparently.
Yeah.
Typically, we're nice there. Either way, Florida State gets its last home win of the season, beating Virginia Tech 34-14. Ugly game at first, and then it felt like that Wake Forest game, right? Where it started off, you're not really sure what we're getting. And then talent trumps everything. We took off on them. Defense played good. Defense played well enough. I should say that. They still have their moments. Offense played up to par. I think we saw Tommy with a little more explosiveness than we've seen probably since he got hurt in that Kent State game, making guys miss, willing to actually be a runner and embrace a little bit of contact. It looked good. It was nice to see Tommy play that way. It would have been nice to have seen him that healthy throughout the year. I feel like we could have gotten a few more wins, but either way, man, 34-14. What did you take away from this game, huh?
It's the game offensively. It's the game you want to see, especially from Tommy. He completed 12 passes. You keep him within that 12 to 14, you know, real efficient game. In by his standard, he still missed a few throws. I text the group this week that I hope LaWayne McCoy doesn't transfer because I
Mhm.
think we all like the receiver he could be, and he runs open a lot of times, and Tommy just kind of misses him. But he didn't. Tommy played well enough for us to win the game. We know Deuce is out of here, man. He's up for the Bolitnikoff Award. I don't think he's going to get it, but the fact that he's being acknowledged and he'll be our first 1,000-yard receiver since Rashard. So that's a big deal.
That says a lot.
Yeah, yeah. You as a selfish fan, you want him back for another year, but you gotta go to the league. Yeah, man. Offense looked like they should look throughout the whole year. So but that all starts with a healthy Tommy. Um, Defensively, they did enough to win the game. It wasn't a good Virginia Tech team to begin with. They tried to run the ball most of the game, and we took away the run and forced them to pass. And when they did, it wasn't very very good. Jerry Wilson played really well. We been on him most of the season for those calculated risks that never pan out, and he played well enough in the secondary, injury laden secondary, So yeah, I thought overall, you played good enough to win the game. And I'm with you. If we could play every game at home, or if we could have played every game at home this year, we probably would be the best team in the country.
It feels that way, right? But no, real talks. I mean, again, Tommy, you keep Tommy in that, that sweet spot that we've always said, no more than 25 pass attempts. Tommy doesn't need to be throwing the ball 25 plus times. 12 for 24, not that bad. An efficient game of his. Again, he was a willing runner. I enjoyed the fact. Let me preface that real quick. I didn't enjoy the fact that so many guys lined up in the backfield with him. I don't get it. However, every player was able to efficiently run the ball. Again, it's still against Virginia Tech, but Ousmane got in there. He's, reeling off 5 yards to carry. Sam Singleton. I like that 1-2 punch, honestly, with him.
That's it. That's it.
But the crazy part is, though, I mean, Sawchuk has been running the ball good all season.
But I feel like Sawchuk is leaving a lot of meat on the bone out there, man. I feel like if you give Sam Singleton more carries, I feel like he breaks those runs that Sawchuk should break. I think he's one of those guys. You get more runs, and you hit the quote unquote Dalvin play where you just bust the lid open, and then you got Chroma who's the ground and pound, gets the tough yardage, and it's hard in this system to kind of get a back going. As soon as you hit a 15-yard run, you take him out. I remember early on in the season, man, Keziah was just having some great runs, and then he just kind of disappeared, and we haven't seen him much lately. So I mean, I wish they would just fine tune and just run with him.
Yeah, I mean, it's disappointing. Again, I think we might have mentioned in the group chat, that first possession, every play there was a new running back. Like they kept switching them out. I kept getting pissed off at the announcers. I'm like, why don't y'all know who's in the game? Right? They're calling Ousmane, Sam Singleton. They're calling Sawchuk, Jalen Luke. Like they were just everywhere. But in all honesty, I can't be mad at them because I didn't know who the hell was in the backfield half the time. It doesn't make any sense. Which again, we thought that Gus was gonna stick to his guy, and I feel like that's a little bit of, not even a little bit, that's a lot of Mike. Still, it's still his team. If he says, hey, I want there to be a rotation, I get it, Gus, you call the plays, but we're gonna do it this way. It reminds me of when everybody knows Nick Saban, right? He's gonna bring in his offensive coordinator. Cool. He says 70% stays, this 30% is yours. Right. I feel like Mike did that with Gus. Like he likes to have these rotations, but to your point, nobody gets into a nice little lather. Like I look at the way Chroma and Sam Singleton play, and in a way, their style reminds me of when we had Devontae Freeman and
Wilder
and James Wilder, right? Like that was like Devontae. Yeah, Devontae is your Sam Singleton and Chroma is your James Wilder. Like he's gonna get those hard yards. He's not gonna go down first contact. I like that combination. Stick with it. Stick with it, bro.
And and we could close it out with this, but I feel like if you're gonna do a rotation at running back, at least stretch it out a little bit. Not every single play. That's not the way to do it. And I don't want to cape for Mike, but if you hired Gus to come in here and run your offense, I would assume that this has a lot to do with Gus as well, because he's been around college football long enough. Hell, he hired Mike. So I think there could be a lot of pushback if Mike isn't allowing him to fully be himself freely, So I don't want to put the onus on Mike, but that's egregious, man.
Yeah, it is. I like the way you set that up. Let's stay on Mike. It feels at this big pause. It feels at this point that I think that we as a fan base have to go ahead and accept that Mike Norvell is probably going to be coaching this team in 2026.
Come on
right?
over to the dark side.
And and the only reason I say that, I don't think that I'm saying something that's crazy or so, far-fetched or whatever. We all know that 2-10 at Florida State University was a fireable offense. He could have and should have been fired after that. Cool. He got a lot of his stock back by beating Alabama, and then you beat the two teams that you're supposed to beat the brakes off of them. You destroy them. You did everything you're supposed to do those first 3 weeks, and then you hit Virginia. Okay, a little setback. Okay, fine. Let's bounce back. But then you go ahead and get stomped by Miami, and then you get stomped by Pitt, and then we have Stanford. He should have been gone after Stanford, and we all know that, right?
Yeah.
This is how many 4-game losing streaks has Mike had now in his tenure at Florida State? It's only been 6 years. Like, he's not been here for 17, 18 years. He's had multiple 4-game losing streaks in his tenure. And when the administration brings out a statement that is so vague and ambiguous, it's like, okay, well, we're going to reevaluate at the end of the season. Well, by the end of the season, Mike could be 7-5 and bowl eligible. So are we going to stick with him? And if it's the money, which again, I think we'll tap into that a little bit. I hate being in limbo, right? And I feel like the limbo is just now getting more and more towards the fact that we have to accept that they're not willing to put in that financial investment to fire him. And we're going to run it back in 2026 and see where we go from there.
Yeah. I mean, you said it. The writing was on the wall. I mean, if they were going to fire Mike, it would have been that Stanford game. You just don't lose to Stanford. You could excuse Miami. Records go out the window in that game. We lost to Virginia close. You could argue if Deuce just doesn't double catch the ball, we could walk out of there with a win. Pitt, you could even argue, but Stanford, losing the way you did, the offense was putrid. And you had guys going back and forth with Mike on the sideline. It kind of looked like the wheels were coming off. But they didn't do it then. And then you went out and make that statement that you're going to make a decision at the end of the year. That's just coach speak in a way for the administration. Just to kind of you don't want to go out and say you're not going to fire the coach in the middle of the season and expect for fans to come and support the team. So you kind of put them on ice. But no smart administration would wait till the end of the season in college football to fire a head coach, especially with recruiting. You got to get your head coach in. You're just setting yourself further back behind the 8 ball. LSU went out and pulled the trigger. Florida pulled the trigger. Penn State. So all these big time programs are pulling the trigger because they already know what they're doing. And not saying that Florida State doesn't know what they're doing. They know what they're not going to do, and they're not going to fire Mike Norvell. All those other programs knew they were going to fire their head coach, and I believe that they already made up in their mind they were going to give Mike another year. And then what kind of solidified it for me is you look at some of these recruits. Isaiah Williams, the number 1 linebacker in the country, recently, even though the kid's committed like 6 times already, he recently came out and said he's shutting his recruitment down. You look at, we just got 2 new commits, so I don't think Mike is just, I don't want to say he's not going to stop recruiting, but I think he wouldn't be selling these kids dreams if he wasn't going to be there. I don't think kids would, because that's if you're a parent, you're going to ask that question. Well, what does your future look like? I don't want to commit to you in this university and you're not going to be here. So you got to kind of look into that as well.
Yeah. You know what? I guess one thing that's maybe helping me be okay with the situation is, once James Franklin came off the board, and, in all honesty, who's to say that Florida State wanted James Franklin, the administration, right? Was he the best option out there? Yes. Is he the best coach for us? I can't say yes, because he wasn't able to get it done at Penn State, right? I think he's a good coach. He would have gotten us maybe further than where Mike has gotten us, right? You would assume so, because I think that he's a better coach, better evaluator of talent, better recruiter than Mike Norvell, all the above. He's a better coach than Mike Norvell. With him off the board, well, where are you going to go? At that point, now you're just firing Mike to fire Mike, and you're replacing him with what? Right? You're just going to scoop up the next Willie Taggart. Like what are you going to do? So in a way, I that part of it makes me more comfortable with saying, okay, fine. The continuity is still there. I know Mike can luck his way into 8 wins because he's that kind of dumbass coach. He'll luck his way into 8 wins, right? But as opposed to now, what? You know how big I've always said about stability and continuity, right? So if you get rid of him, cool. We can try to throw some money at Heartline. We can try to throw some money at the Georgia DC or whoever. All these guys aren't proven. You know what I mean? And to me, now you set yourself, you start to get into the weeds of possibly being Florida, possibly being Auburn, and you're firing coaches every 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And to me, it's just not worth it. And again, on the financial side of it, well, we're still paying off all these guys. And I think that the administration, even though they're doing it in a way that they're being too ambiguous with the fans, and I think that it sucks on our end. I just got this damn text this morning asking me about renewing my season tickets. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing next year, but you want me to pony up some more money? I'm gonna do it, yes. But that's not the point. That ain't the damn point. So you know what you're gonna do, I think, but you're not telling us. But yet you're asking us to pony up more money, or you're asking the big name boosters to go out there and cut another check, but you're leaving us out there. But
let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Do you think there was a world in which they reached out to Franklin? Because it seemed like Virginia Tech came out openly early in when James Franklin got released by Penn State and expressed interest in Franklin's camp, kind of delayed things a little bit before signing. Do you think there was a conversation being had, or do you think there was interest shown? And what do you think that talk was like?
I think they kicked the tires on James Franklin. I think that they wouldn't have been doing their due diligence if they didn't, right? If it came out that Florida State administration never contacted James Franklin, the fan base will go nuts, right?
So why wasn't a deal cut, in your opinion?
I don't think that he was. Two reasons, honestly. At this point, I feel like, one, they were never going to fire Mike Norvell. I think that they know that Mike Norvell was going to be the coach of Florida State come 2026. And I don't think that they believed in James Franklin to lead Florida State in whatever direction they think it's going to go, or maybe the financials didn't make sense, right? Because now we see the reworkings of that buyout. Well, Virginia Tech is pulling up all the money, but that's a Virginia Tech move. They have nothing to lose. You know what I mean? If they fire James Franklin in 4 or 5 years, okay. I mean, we're Virginia Tech. We're not really playing big boy ball. We haven't done that since Mike Vick was here. So what do they have to lose? We have more to lose than Virginia Tech. So I think when you add in all those factors, they're like, yeah, we could, but I don't think we want to go down that road again. And from that standpoint, I can respect that. I can. I don't want them to have to pay another $40 million buyout. I don't want that again.
Yeah,
like it's hamstring our team.
And I think that's a bigger conversation for college football. You gotta quit it with these big time contracts for coaches. Put more of that money into the players, and I think it should be an incentive based contract for especially the big time coaches. You gotta earn your keeps. You don't make it to the playoff, you don't still get to get paid $50 million or these crazy amount of numbers that they're getting. So I think moving forward, I would hope we're the ones to set the precedent moving forward as to how these coaches should be getting paid. But I think they definitely kicked the tire on Franklin, but I think they treated it like the Rooney Rule in the NFL. You just gotta show that you did something. Just show that you tried. But they already had Mike in mind.
I believe that. Now let me ask you a question, because I know we get on you for being the Mike K for a little bit. What is your honest outlook for? Let's just assume status quo. Mike Norvell is coming back. Gus, we're going to run it back full staff. It's coming back for the 2026 season. Do you have more hope with another year under their belt, under the system, Tony White, getting in new guys, like what is your honest outlook for 2026?
I think that whole staff is going to be in. Let me preface this by saying Tony White did shoot out a tweet a couple days ago saying that it was fun in the know and playing in the Doak, and kind of like a farewell tweet, and a lot of fans were had one eye open, kind of looking at that tweet kind of crazy. So we don't know if he's going to be back, but I think if the whole staff comes back, everybody's coaching for their jobs, and you got to kind of go balls out. Go get Sam Levitt, the kid Levitt from Arizona State. You got to go after the big names. You can't treat this like it's just another year of climbing. But to directly answer your question, I don't have any faith that it will be a successful season. It's kind of like, as a Florida State fan nowadays, it's just you got to try to make it through every week, and you don't know what you're gonna get. I said last week we probably would beat Virginia Tech 45-10, and then turn around on Friday night and lose 17-21. It's just, if you look at the type of coaching career that Mike Norvell has had at Florida State, even if you take into account the 13-0 season, which I'm calling it that outside of that last stretch where the defense started playing nuts, you almost lost to Boston College against this Thomas Castellanos on the road. If it wasn't for a face mask call against Lawrence Toafili. So it's never been a definite thing that these Mike Norvell teams have been dominant. Back in the day, you could stamp it that Bobby Bowden was going to have the most dominant team on the field damn near every week. Even in the Jimbo era at times, you just kind of like chalked up a Wake Forest win, a Pittsburgh win. You chalked up the gimmies, the layups, and then Florida, Miami, and those kind of teams, it was a toss up. But if I'm looking at next season, if Mike comes back, it's a week to week basis, man. Even if the names on the paper from a Jimmy's and Joe's perspective looks good, I still got to see it on a week to week basis, because it's just been shaky. It's never been a stretch where we had the utmost confidence going into a game, even in the 13-0 season.
Yeah, that 13-0 season, I think me and 12 talked about it. That season reminded me so much of the season after the national championship year, where it's like, we'll be down 2 scores at halftime, and then adjustments were made, and we just came and blew a team out, come second half. But it was just tight all the time for no reason, for no good reason.
And you got the players.
Yeah, I mean, and back then we had the players. Again, this year I don't. That's the tough part about it. Again, when we walk out there, we know that we don't have the caliber player it takes to be a dominant team, or to even really, if this team actually made the ACC championship and found a way to win it, right? Again, it's sweet Jesus, the ACC, Mike. It's not that hard, right? But we would get it. We would get that automatic bid, and I don't think any of us would be comfortable playing Texas Tech. But
I get that, but let's just stick to the ACC. If you look at the ACC, how many teams in this conference do you think our roster is beneath, outside of Miami? Maybe Clemson. I'll give you Clemson.
Mm-hmm. But with that being said, we're 2-5 in this bitch.
That's the ACC, Mike. Sweet Jesus.
So again, I know you, me, and Bree say it all the time on the show. We have the talent. Florida State, Miami, they get talent. It's the upper echelon elite talent that Ohio State gets, that Georgia gets, that Bama gets, that Notre Dame gets, that for whatever reason we can't get consistently anymore. And again, that still falls back again on Mike and his staff, to where now here we are again. We're going to run this back one more time, that hopefully in year 7 it clicks for him.
And the thing about Mike, though, I want to clear it up because I know 12 is in here. He's always calling me out on saying that I don't care about recruiting. But if you're gonna take the route of making the portal your strong point, make it your strong point. If you're in it for a quarterback and it's down to you in Miami, don't let that kid leave the building. You look at Cam Ward. He came into the building, was considering us, and we don't close the deal. So if you're not going to close deals on the high school landscape, you got to close them in the portal, because we can get the guys on campus, but you got to close. You can't be mediocre in both.
But keep in mind, remember I sent you that you guys that clip that Mike said, yeah, you don't fit. So again, it goes back to his evaluation of talent, right? I think that 2023 got us jaded a lot, right? Yeah. Where, outside of we knew what Trey Benson was. Trey Benson was just hurt in Oregon. The talent was there. Besides Jordan Travis and Johnny Wilson, I think that, Mike has never brought in guys and said, okay, yeah, I see something there. You can see it in Jared Verse. You saw it in Braden Fitz. You saw it in Trey Benson. You saw it in Keon Coleman. That's not hard to evaluate that kind of talent. These guys were the top, transfer portal guys. It wasn't hard to see it in Jermaine Johnson, right? So outside of Johnny and outside of Jordan Travis, he's not seeing much in guys. You said, hey, you know what, Cam? You don't fit. We're going to get DJU. You evaluated that, right? Like even with Tommy, I get that Tommy is Gus's guy, but Mike had to sign off on that. You couldn't find anybody better to run this offense than Tommy Castellanos. Okay, that's another evaluation of yours. We knew what that evaluation, all the guys that he brought in last year, none of those guys panned out. So, when it comes to you closing or locking guys in the room, that's just kidnapping at that point, because they ain't gonna sign. For whatever reason, Mike can't get these guys to sign. And I feel like, what it feels like at this point when I see, Travis Hunter, KJ Bolden, I'm seeing these other guys, I feel like they're using Florida State as leverage, right? If it's between Florida State and Georgia says, hey, listen, man, what's it going to take? Well, Florida State's offering me $1 million, make it $1.5 million, and I'm there. They're not coming. They never meant to come. They're using us as leverage at this point. It's really not, I think I really want to be at Florida State. What about our program in the last 3 to 4 years has said, I want to go here, as opposed to Georgia or Bama or Notre Dame or Ohio State or Michigan? Nothing.
And but the thing is, you have to create that environment. And I hope, because Gus, one thing I can say about Gus, he's recruited well where he's been. He's recruited well at UCF, maybe not to the level of the Georgias and the Texases of the world, but he flipped Javon Boggs from Ohio State, to go to UCF, and he followed him to Florida State. So hopefully he could implement some of that knowledge onto Mike, or just do it his damn self, get some guys to come in next season. But I don't want to continue kicking Mike's back in. I feel like it's gonna be a week-to-week back kicker.
No. Push him down. Push him down any chance we can get, because he deserves it. He deserves it. All right, man. Listen, you're right. We can move on.
We're gonna do it next week again.
Oh, absolutely. It's gonna be even worse, and we're gonna say some of the same stuff that we said this week, but it's fine. Looking forward, man. We got on Friday, Florida State versus North Carolina State. 8:00 kickoff, ESPN. They keep putting us on prime time just to embarrass us.
They're doing it on purpose at this point.
On purpose.
I felt like when they released the schedule at the beginning of the season, we had no primetime games. We were all looking for night games, and now all of a sudden we're in the 7:00 slot every single week.
Yeah, remember they did it to us last year too. We were on prime time every single freaking week, just so we can get our teeth kicked in. But it's fine. NC State comes into this game 5-5, fresh off of an ass whooping from Miami, 41-7. However, they did fool around and beat Georgia Tech, who we think is the class of the ACC this year. Just beat that team. I think that was a game where Haynes King put up like 500 combined yards, and they still found a way to lose. Super weird. We know what the history of Florida State, playing in NC State at night. We know the history of that. It's like we have a lot of demons walking through that building. This team isn't good, man. This team isn't good. This isn't the NC State of old, where at least they have a nice, solid defense, a quarterback that can sling it around. They had Phillip Rivers back in the day. They had old Ostrich Neck, Glennon back in the day. Yeah, you know what I mean? They always had a guy, it seemed, on offense, and they always had at least a solid defense. They have neither of those this year. I don't believe in that team. This is one of those games where I feel Florida State should go in there, take care of business. If that defense wants to play, because again, which side of the ball is going to show up? Let's review this game that way, right? Because outside of Bama, we haven't gotten a consistent, offense and defense show up. Which side of the ball do you feel is more important to show up this week to get this dub?
I'm gonna say offense. Make it a shootout. If it's a defensive struggle, 12 just said it in the comments. It's House of Horrors. Every time we go to Carter Finley, if it's a defensive struggle, last time we were there, Fitzy missed the field goal, and then with the game on the line, we threw a fade to Micah Pittman Jr. and we had Johnny Wilson on the other side of the field. So I don't want it to be a defensive struggle where it comes down to a play or two here and there. I want that offense to be a well-oiled machine. Defense hopefully gets a couple stops to where they got to try to catch up, but I don't want it to be a defensive struggle to where we're trying to rely on our kicker, who hasn't been that good this year, to win us a game. So I need Tommy. Just throw it to Deuce. Throw it to Deuce. You can't go wrong throwing it to Deuce. If they double team him, run the ball, hit Pittman on these little hitches and out routes. Keep it simple. You don't have to do the double reverses and all this what Michael Irvin said, that trick shit. Don't just keep it simple. And I think you keep it simple. Don't turn the ball over. You can move the ball up and down against this team. But it is a Friday night in Raleigh, and you know how that goes.
I dig it. I'm with you on that. I think it has to be the offense. One thing that gave me hope, and I guess we can kind of, touch on who you think your keys on offense and defense are going to be. For me, it's got to be Tommy. And what I saw in that Virginia Tech game gives me hope, because I know when Tommy is effective with his legs, that offense can go all kind of directions, because now you don't know what to do, right? If I'm a defense, sure, Tommy, throw the ball. I dare you. I dare you to throw the ball, Tommy, because he can't do it. He can't do it effectively and efficiently for an entire game. We know that. But the Tommy that we saw last Saturday is the Tommy that we saw against Alabama, who's able to make plays with his legs, right? He's a threat with his legs. And then, cool, Deuce is going to be open. It's going to open up a lot of things. We still saw a lot of drops in that game against Virginia Tech again, right? Like that's still an issue. If they can get past that and that offense can start running efficiently, what we've seen in the last couple of games is they start off slow and then they get going, right? If that's the kind of offense we're going to get, I'm okay with you, pissing away the first quarter like you've been doing, as long as you come back and now, cut that shit up. So to me, key of the game, like you said, offense, and Tommy Castellanos is going to be my guy, my player to watch on offense.
So two things for me. Two keys of the game. One is the whole defense. Have you noticed that we got a guest on the show?
Yes, in the house.
Have you noticed that the defense has given up these long, drawn out drives on the first drive of the game?
Yes.
I would like for our defense to come out there and get a quick 3 and out. I don't need 7 minutes to run off the clock, and my offense is just looking sleepy over there, waiting for the defense to get off the field. Go out there, get a quick 3 and out, get your offense the ball, get them going. I think that could do a lot. When we were talking about complementary football, that we haven't seen that since the beginning of the year. So hopefully the defense could go out there, get a quick 3 and out, get the ball into the offense's hands. Player of the game for me, I'm gonna stick on the defensive side. I'm gonna go with the freshman Arnaud at corner. Jabril Rawls, he's out. Kid's got talent, but I think he's got to learn how to, get off blocks on the edge. It's not just about covering guys at corner, because I think teams, if you look at this defense, man, and I'm gonna go down a wormhole, but you could easily get up. You could easily get to the edge on this defense, man. The edges aren't being contained. So as a corner, you have to come up, and we've seen Jabril Rawls come up this season and make a lot of tackles, at the corner position. So I'm interested to see how physical that kid's going to be. And CJ Bailey, although he didn't have a good game against Miami, he's capable of lighting the scoreboard up. He's a very talented kid. I don't think he's been playing his best as of late, but I want to see what that freshman could do. And I guess I got 3. I'm gonna stay on the Squirrel train. At some point, Squirrel got to get a nut. No pun. Squirrel got to get a nut at some point. I've been calling it since the tailgate against Miami. Hopefully, this is the week my dog Squirrel get a nut. Hopefully, it's a punt return. Come on, man. You got to do something. You got to get on the board at some point.
I mean, in all honesty, we've had some of the shittiest special teams play all season. One thing that I loved going back to the Virginia Tech game, Jalen Lucas finally just saying, "Man, fuck it, I'm running this bitch out."
Why not? What I got to lose?
See what happens. I mean, when we got him over, he was one of the best return men in college football. Give him a shot. Like, to me, I feel like Jalen Lucas almost gets a little bit of give him a Devin Hester pass, right? You've got the talent, you've got the speed. Just block it up one time. Just give me one, right? That he says, hey, you know what? Green light, you got it. Give me one a game for Jalen Lucas. And I guarantee you, he gets us past the 20-5. Like, give us some good field position. Like, the man is that elusive. Like, just give him at least one green light.
Yeah.
Defensive side of the ball, man. One thing that I hated that I saw was that defense allowed Kyron Drones to look like a decent quarterback, and he's not. Right? Like, even in the passing game, I'm just looking at the stats. He was only 10 for 18, but it felt like when he was passing the ball, he was getting a first down. He was, extending drives, and I hated to see that. Right? We know what he can do with his legs. In all honesty, he's a Tommy Castellanos clone. He's just taller. Right? He's not a good passer, but if you allow him to use his legs, he's gonna hurt you. So even like just containing, which I know goes back to the fact that our linebackers suck ass and they can't contain anybody. I need to see a little bit more. I think in this game, I want to see Earl Little. I know what that defensive front can do, right? I know what Daryl Jackson, I know what the Desires can do. I'm not even expecting anything from our linebacking core. I want to see Earl Little be able to come downhill with discipline and make plays, because I feel like once you get that quarterback off schedule and he starts to run, that's when Earl Little comes in and just cleans stuff up, right? Even in the run game, right? You try to get to that second level. To me, at this point, Earl Little is a part of that second level. Just let him come down here. Forget Herring. Just get Herring and Elijah and Thompson out the way. Yeah. Let Earl come down and do your thing.
Earl's an extended linebacker at this point.
Absolutely. Let Earl get busy. But again, it has to be with discipline. That's always Earl's problem. He plays with his hair on fire, but sometimes he gets too undisciplined, and that's when big plays get ran on us. So that's what I'm looking for, man. Just keep contain on those quarterbacks, because when they break contain, all of a sudden we go to shit. And it's very disappointing to see. So I think the defense can get their mojo back, and I want to see them do it, especially going into this Florida game, because we know that Florida game, not to look past NC State, but we know what's coming with Florida, and we know they have tons of talent.
Records out
the window, right? It's shit on shit at this point. So we got, at this point, it's 1 versus 2. But yeah, I think we'll be okay with NC State, but I think that's what I want to see from the offensive and defensive sides, man. So
You sound like we're winning comfortably. I don't think I'm there yet.
I'm not there. I'm
Okay.
not there. What's the line on this game? I'm gonna look it up real quick. I don't know if you have it in front of you at all.
No, I haven't. Another thing while you're looking it up, just slow down on the rotation, Mike. Just get them back, get them going, sub them in when the other. They're 18, 19-year-old kids. They're not tired out the gates, So let's get a good rhythm going before we start rotating backs. And I shouldn't see Roydell in the game,
Ever. I should
got to be
him.
somebody else that can pass protect. If that's the reason why we're getting him in there to protect Tommy, it's a dead giveaway anyways. Because if we're not going to hand him the ball, and every time he gets in there, he's just in there to pass protect, you got bigger problems than just the rest of the running back. So hopefully we don't see Roydell. Hopefully we get Singleton and Uzman and sprinkle a little bit of Davin Sawchuk.
I'm good. I'm good with that rotation. I'm with you, even though I know it's not going to happen. That's a pipe dream right now because Mike is going to put in 85 guys to play running back for whatever reason. Like, I don't know why he has such a hard on for doing that because it makes no sense. And to me, it's like, bro, you see it doesn't work. Why do you keep doing it? But, we're going to see it more next year.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. So the line on this game, 5.5. Florida State 5.5. I don't like that. I don't like that line, but I get why. The history, short turnaround, 8:00 kickoff, nighttime game. I get the line. 30-17 Florida State. It sounds more comfortable than it is, but I think it's like a late touchdown. I say it's probably going to be like 23-17 going late into the fourth quarter. We get a long deuce touchdown to put it away.
We haven't played well on the road all year. And I don't know if I'm going to sound like I'm speaking out of both sides of my mouth because I said I think we need an offensive eruption in order to win this game, but I don't think it's going to be that kind of game. I could see this game being 17-20 in the favor of the home team.
Ooh, Stanford game, huh?
Yeah, man. I don't believe in. It's just the highs and lows of the season. We were on a high last season and our last week, and then you got a Friday night game on the road. That scares me.
Are you calling a loss for this game?
Yeah.
Wow.
We get a loss that puts us at 5-6.
Yeah.
And we're dependent on Florida to make it bowl eligible.
Wow. Calling for that? Okay. I mean, I can see it.
We definitely can see it.
Yeah, listen, I have no pushback against it. I can see it happening because I've seen it 5 times already. So yeah, it can happen. Wow, I didn't expect that from you, but I'm not surprised.
So and part of the reason why I say this is because we struggle with the quarterback that can run and throw. I think CJ Bailey can actually throw the ball. He's not drone, but I think he could actually make some throws. And I think this defense will give up a lot of plays. Now, whether or not our offense can get a rhythm, we talked about we haven't seen any continuity. We haven't seen any complementary football. I just don't see both sides of the ball meshing. It's like if the offense plays well early, the defense waits until the last 2 drives in the fourth quarter to catch up, or vice versa, or the offense is fighting from behind and now they're in the hurry up trying to catch up. So, I hope they prove me wrong. I'm going with historical data right now.
It's fair. Listen, that's completely fair. I think all season we've seen this Florida State defense allow average quarterbacks to look good. And they've done that way too frequently. I think the only quarterback that they made look mid was Ty Simpson at the beginning of the year. And even in that game, he still was making plays that the same plays that Ty Simpson is making now, he's making them, but he's delivering the ball accurately.
Yeah.
He's got guys that are actually making plays for him as well. So besides that, we've allowed a lot of mediocre quarterbacks to look halfway decent. But again, I think a healthy Tommy does make a difference for this offense. I think this offense clicks a little, way better, obviously, when you have all your guys healthy. Goddamn dog.
Yeah,
right?
Your
Your offense clicks better when you have healthy guys, and especially when your signal caller is healthy and he's able to make plays. So it looks like you and 12 are both on this Wolfpack train. I get it.
Yeah,
I
we
get
don't
it.
agree often, but I think we always at it.
Who's gonna tell you that NC State recruits better? All right, man. Another week of the Somebody Said Knowles podcast. Yeah. Hopefully, man, we're taking some shots Friday night.
I mean, regardless, the shots will be taken. Even if it gets to a point where we got to take shots for every time Tommy throws an incompletion or there's a drop, shots will be taken.
We'll be drunk by halftime if that's the case.
Man.
All right, man. We're gonna get up out of here, man. Be sure to like, subscribe, and follow. We'll be here next week.
Every week.
Going to that Florida game every week, man. I say we have at least 3 more episodes of Somebody Said Knowles podcast. We're gonna do a Florida. We're gonna do an end of the year recap, and I'm gonna call it right now. We're gonna be doing a pod before our bowl game.
Bowl game.
We're going
Gasparilla Bowl.
Going to that. Get me? Oh, listen, we might have to do a live
the
show.
Porter Potty Bowl. I'm
beat
interested to see the bowl game. It might be in St. Pete. Well, the Trop's down. Yeah.
Listen, if we at the Gasparilla Bowl, we gonna be there. All I'm saying.
All right.
All I'm saying.
We got to beat them Gators.
We'll be all right. Let's get past the Wolfpack first, and then we'll talk about getting some Gator bites in our system.
All right.
All right, man. We'll holler at y'all next week.
Victory comes from the Lord. Shout out to Jameis.